Hello, students. Hello, welcome. I hope you are ready for today's lesson. Today we are going to be looking at some advanced English, in my opinion, that is gonna brush up your English skills a little bit, I think. Before we get into the lesson, if you could, you can go over to YouTube, Facebook, hit the subscribe button. And that way you'll know that I'll go live, you'll know when new lessons are available, all those good things. And if you could like this video and share it with one of your friends who is also learning English, I would really appreciate it. Okay, so today we're going to learn this idiom, and it is set in stone. Set in stone. Has anyone ever heard this idiom before? I used it once before in an English lesson somewhere. So, and a lot of students had questions on what set in stone meant. So today I'm going to explain it to you. Okay, let me know in the comments if you've heard this before or if you know what it means. And also let me know which country you are watching from. So type your country in the comments. I love to see where everybody is from. Okay, so set in stone. If you think about the meaning of this idiom, you can imagine if you have a stone, right? And if you carve something, you take like a hammer or like a pick and you carve into the stone something. You carve a design, you carve a word, you carve a name. Now that you have carved something in the stone, it is very difficult and probably impossible for you to get the design or get the carving out of the stone, right? You can't erase it like a pencil. If we write with a pencil on paper, we can erase it. But if you carve something into a stone, you can't erase it, okay? It's going to be there forever. So that's where we get this idiom, set in stone. So let's look at the big whiteboard at the full definition. Okay, pretty easy, I think. Let me know what you think. Is it easy or difficult? Okay, so set in stone. Set in stone means to be very difficult or impossible to change, okay? So usually we use set in stone for decisions that are made and cannot be changed. Decisions, schedules, things like that, things that are pretty much impossible to change, okay? So I think the definition is fairly simple, right? What do you think? Okay, set in stone, set in stone. And I just want to point out, I am an American, so I have American pronunciation. When we pronounce set in stone, as a native speaker, at a natural speed, I would say set in stone, set in stone, set in stone. So here we have a T. However, the American T is quite tricky. So sometimes it is something called a flap T. It sounds like a soft D sound. So said, set in stone, set in stone, set in stone, set in stone, set in stone. Okay, so we often change the pronunciation of the T, and that's why it sounds like we're talking really fast. Set in stone, set in stone. Okay, you can't really hear that T sound here. All right, so I have 4 examples. We'll go over these, and then I would really like you, if you can, to write some examples of your own in the comments, okay? And I will check them after. All right, so number 1, The exam results are set in stone. The exam results are set in stone. The exam results are set in stone. So this means once the exam is finished, you got your results, you can't change the grade. You can't change your exam results. Okay, you can't go to your teacher and, oh, I didn't get a good score. Can I take the test one more time? Or is there any extra credit I can do to raise my exam result? Can I raise my grade? No, you can't do that. The exam results are set in stone. You can't change them anymore. Okay, number two, I scheduled the meeting for tomorrow, but the time isn't set in stone yet. I scheduled the meeting for tomorrow, but the time isn't set in stone yet. Okay, so here we're using the negative, isn't set in stone. So we often use it in the negative as well, so be careful of that. The time isn't set in stone yet. So I scheduled the meeting for tomorrow, but the time is flexible. We can change the time. So it isn't set in stone means that we can change it. We can modify something. It is flexible, okay? So be careful. We also use it in the negative quite a lot. Isn't set in stone. Isn't set in stone. All right, number 3. When my boss decides something, it's set in stone. When my boss decides something, it's set in stone. So when my boss decides something, we can't change his or her mind, okay? Once the boss decides something, it's impossible to convince the boss to change his or her mind, okay? Very good. Set in stone. It is set in stone. Okay, last one, number 4. No one's destiny is set in stone. No one's destiny is set in stone. Do you know what destiny means? Destiny. So destiny is like your future, how your life will go in the future. So we could say no one's future is set in stone. No one's destiny is set in stone. So we have free will. We can do what we want. So we can make choices and we can change our destiny. We can change our future. We have the power to do so. No one's destiny is set in stone. Okay, very good. So if you can go into the comments and write an example sentence using set in stone, I would love to see them. Let me think of one on the spot really quick. Let's see. In America, we have crazy elections, right? People run for president or governor or mayor, and they make many, many promises, right? But when a politician is running for office, their promises aren't set in stone. Their promises aren't set in stone. Okay, so even though they make many promises, it doesn't mean that they will never change, right? They'll make promises, but then once they get into office, they realize they can't do it or they don't want to do it anymore. So politicians' promises are never set in stone. Okay. I have to get going. I'm so sorry to cut it short. Please leave your example sentences in the comments and I'll be sure to read them. I'll try and like and comment as many as possible. And yes, let me know if you have any other lesson suggestions and I will try my best to make a lesson on your suggestions. Okay, thank you so much for watching today's lesson and I will see you again very, very soon. Thank you very much. Bye, everyone.